Hello everybody, this is Crowd Games. Here we are finally in Birmingham. With such coal deposits, it simply must become the center of the Industrial Revolution. So let's continue this revolution. Birmingham, unlike Lancashire, belongs not only to Martin Wallace. The game was co-designed with Gavin Brown and Matt Tolman. We have here a signal sample of the game in which there are no coins from the deluxe edition yet. As in Lancashire, in Birmingham you will build your industrial empire, trying to earn as many victory points as possible. Let's start with the game board. It's two-sided. On the one side the city is depicted in the daylight, on the other at night. Choose the side that you like best. If there are fewer than 4 players in the game, sort the cards and merchant tiles by the number of players. Find the wild location cards and the wild industry cards in the deck. Place them face up on 2 special areas on the board. Birmingham doesn't have an era token, so just shuffle a deck and place it on the board. Shuffle the remaining merchant tiles and place them face up on each merchant space marked with the current number of players. Place 1 beer barrel next to every non-empty merchant tile. Place the coal cubes on the coal market, leaving 1 bottom space empty. Also, place the iron cubes on the iron market, leaving both 1 coin spaces empty. Next, let's go to the player area setup. The player mats are double-sided, just like the game board. They have the day and the night sides. Choose any at your wish. Next, select any character tile and the industry tiles of the same color. Then place industry tiles on your player mat with the dark side down, taking into account their level. Take 17 coins from the bank and 8 cards from the deck. Place 1 additional card face down next to the player mat. This will be your discard pile. Place the hexagonal victory point markers on the space 0 and the round income markers on the space 10. Place the character tiles in random order on their spaces at the bottom of the game board. Birmingham is similar to Lancashire in its basic concepts. Let's quickly recap the flow of the game. It consists of 2 eras, the Canal era and the Rail era. Each era is divided into rounds and ends when there are no cards left in the deck or in players' hands. At the end of each era, victory points are awarded for built links and flipped industry tiles. On their turn, players can take 2 actions, with the exception of the first round of the first era, when they perform only 1 action. For each of their actions, players must discard a card from their hand. At the end of the turn, the player draws the missing number of cards from the deck. In terms of game changes, there are no more ports, shipyards or distant cotton market. However, they were replaced by new industry, manufactories, potteries and breweries. There are also merchants to whom you will sell the goods. There have also been changes in the player actions. Firstly, there are more of them, and secondly, some of them have innovations. What can you do on your turn? You can build an industry, expand the transport network, develop your industry, sell goods, take a loan from the bank, and scout. What is the scout action? This is an opportunity to exchange your cards for wild cards. To do so, you must discard 1 card from your hand as an action cost and exchange 2 of your cards for wild cards. One of them will be the card of any location, the other will be the card of any industry. However, if you already have 1 wild card in your hand, you cannot perform this action. For building, now you can use not only location and industry cards, but also wild cards. When using wild cards, don't discard them to your discard pile, but return them to the assigned spaces on the board. There are also farm breweries in the game, which can be built only using an industry card. One nuance also appeared in the network action. As you remember from the Lancashire game, in the Canal era you could only build 1 canal per turn. In the Rail era you could build 2 links if you pay an additional 10 coins. In Birmingham, you will have to pay not only money, but also a barrel of beer for an additional link. Moreover, you must take it exactly from breweries, but not from the merchant spaces. There is no change in the develop action, except that 2 pottery tiles on the player mat can be removed. You can only build them, taking a loan from the bank. In Lancashire, you could take 10, 20 or 30 coins at your choice. In Birmingham, this section is simplified. You only take 30 coins and move your income marker 3 levels back. However, the selection has been changed significantly. We'll take a closer look at this section. Several new industries have appeared in the game: manufactories, potteries and breweries. All goods, except for beer, can be sold exclusively to merchants located at the edges of the game board. Each of them specializes in goods of certain type, although there are those who buy everything. To take a sell action, discard a card from your hand and select your unflipped industry tiles on the board. Every tile must be connected with the merchant purchasing this product. Then spend the required number of beer barrels indicated in the upper right corner of the industry tile. If there is a beer barrel next to a merchant tile, you can spend it as a part of the section. Then, flip over the industry tile and move the income marker by as many points as indicated in the lower right corner of the tile. If you have more than one unflipped industry tile, you can repeat this algorithm several times per action, even if these industries are of different types. Of course, if you have enough beer barrels for this. Beer is a scarce good. By spending a merchant's beer barrel, you get a so-called beer bonus. The bonus is indicated next to the merchant tile. They are development, income, move the income token 2 spaces, also victory points, and finally money. In the Canal era, breweries have 1 beer barrel. In the era of railways, there are already 2 barrels. The brewery tile is flipped only when you remove the last beer barrel from the tile. As a part of your action, you can spend beer from different sources. Your brewery doesn't have to be connected to the location where the beer is required, but there must be a link to the opponent's brewery. When you build an iron work or a coal mine connected to a merchant tile, you sell these resources to the market just like in Lancashire, filling the most expensive market spaces first. At the end of the Canal era, when there are no cards left in the deck or in players' hands, you score victory points for the built links and flipped industry tiles. After that, remove canals and obsolete first-level industries from the game board. Also refill beer barrels for merchants. Collect all cards in the deck, shuffle it, and deal 8 cards to every player. A new era begins, at the end of which you will have another scoring of victory points for built links and flipped industry tiles, as well as your accumulated income. The player with the most victory points wins the game. For those who have already played Brass Lancashire, it won't be difficult to understand the rules of Birmingham. However, you will need to think carefully about your strategy. The game is much less random now, due to the absence of distant cotton market and the presence of wild cards. Whether these 2 games are similar or not, it's up to you. In our opinion, they give to a player different feelings. Nevertheless, they are both interesting in their own way and have the highest quality components. This concludes our journey through England of the end of the 18th century and the beginning of the 19th century. There are still a lot of interesting things around, so we're not saying goodbye. Stay with us!